receivers as much this year as I think we have in past years. I think having Frank Bryant out for a majority of the season with that ankle injury, Frank played really, really well last week against Stephen F. You saw, we watched the video, you see glimpses, you go, wow. And him not being there for a majority of the season, I think, hurt us there. But when you're behind in the game and the other team is running the football, it's hard to get sacks when they're running the football. You know, when you're ahead in the score and they're throwing the ball trying to catch up, that's when you get more sacks. We haven't been ahead in many games. So
obviously that's where this team is going, Nicholls.
They've had a bunch of injuries in their offensive line. They're playing a lot of freshmen in their O-line. They're big, they're huge. Looking at them on video, they're very, very big. But you know, watching what they do, they haven't asked them lately to drop back protect in the last couple of weeks. They're running a lot of option stuff. It seems you know, last year they were giving up so many sacks, and then when it got to us, they hardly threw it at all. You know, not many times when you put everybody's tendencies on the board, and their number one running play is a quarterback draw, and that's what it is. You know, they're going to snap the ball to Caston and go. And you know, we got to surround him.
Just looking at you guys last week started 6 defensive backs. Is that by design, and will we see that again, or is that one-time thing?
Well, when you face the air raid and how good those receivers were from Stephen F., we felt like, you know, we had a nickel package and a dime package and, you know, 3-man rush. Their quarterback was getting rid of the football on time. I mean, it's catch it and throw it, and there wasn't, you know, people were blitzing them and coming clean and can't get there before the ball comes out. So we said, why do that? Let's rush 3. We basically played 3 in the inside gaps, where if they were going to run the football, that the ball would bounce outside to where our defensive backs were alignment-wise. And I thought that scheme worked very well. You know, we held their quarterback to 25 of 52. When was the last time you saw a Stephen F. quarterback throw for under 50% and 4 picks? Did a good job mixing the coverages and making him guess where to go with football, and we caught the ball well when they threw it to us. We dropped a couple others. But we won't play 6 defensive backs this week. We have to stop the option. They've got a couple little twists on some things they do in the option that are tough. You know, similar to what we saw from Sam and Texas State, but with a little twist to it that we had to work on this week. And how many people can we get on the quarterback draw? You know, if they've got 4 wide receivers in, we have to at least put 4 guys out there to cover those 4 wide receivers, and everybody else go cover the quarterback draw. Because last year we started out with 4 on the quarterback and didn't get him. Then we went with 5, then we went with 6, and he's still beating us. You know, we got to get as many bodies as we can tackling him.
You talk about the progress that your defense has made. You talked about how young they are back there, all the sophomores, freshmen, and all that. You know, but the last 2 games, even Sam, you know, with lots of points. I mean, there is a glimmer of hope where.
Yeah, I think, you know, starting in the Texas State game, when, you know, they started to say, hey, we can do this. You know, and in the Sam game we played pretty well, and then this past week, and it's a lot of young guys. It takes time. It takes time to figure it out. It takes time to, you know, recognize the speed of the game at this level, and so, you know, we'll have a lot to build on in the off season. You know, the off season programs will be very important. Those guys need to get stronger, and you know, Jonathan Kitchen's playing very well inside. You know, we played him at a 0 nose last week, and he made a lot of plays. So And Caleb Muse made some big tackles too. You know, a lot of young guys out there that, you know, Tyler Stoddard played really well. You can go down the list. You know, Mo Sutton had an interception. And the only guys that were playing out there that won't be back, you know, Avery Crooks rotated at linebacker with Caleb Muse and Ricky Irvin. So Avery played about a third of the game, and then Kieran, who was playing free safety, and everybody else is back.
You guys were able to get Zeke back. You know, I talked to you a couple of weeks ago. It didn't sound like you were going to be here, but he was able to come in and provide a little for you.
He definitely had fresh legs. You could tell that he was running with a little spring in his step compared to everybody else out there. You know, he hadn't played in 4 or 5 weeks. But the doctor had originally told us that he would be done for the season. And he went back to the doctor last week, and the doctor said, you can't, he begged the doctor, and the doctor said, you can't hurt it. You know, just so they wrapped it up and put the glove on, and as long as we were convinced that he could hold a football without fumbling it. And, you know, we didn't start him. We played Latron for a long time there. And Sam didn't make the trip. He's got a shoulder separation. And when we gave Zeke the opportunity, he ran hard. Made a couple really nice runs, made him miss some tackles. So he'll play again this week.
Expand a little bit on what their defense is doing this year, and you know how you guys got to attack them.
They're a 3-5. And they've got a 360-pound nose guard, and they'll do a lot of different things out of the 3-5. You know, one thing I love about the 3-5 is that you got 5 different people that can blitz, and you bring all those different combinations. And each week they'll dial up some new things. You know, I don't want to say it's the flavor of the week, but basically every week it changes. You know, they can bring those inside backers. They got Jordan Piper playing one of the inside linebackers, and you know, sometimes they'll bring those guys up in there and blitz, or sometimes they'll bring it off the edge, or they can bring 2 to one side, 2 to the other side, so it could come from the inside, both from the outside, or you know, all different combinations. Bobby Felder, their corner, who's a senior. I mean, every year he haunts us. Seems like you know, he makes an interception every year. It was funny at the media days in August. He was there and Simi were there, and they played against each other all the way since Pee Wee football back home in Mississippi. So he's a good player. You know, he's a senior. I'm sure they'll have him lock man coverage on somebody. But they'll play both man and zone. And I was, you know, not exaggerating when I said we got to wait and see what they give us, because every week the only similar thing is there's 3 linemen. And it's different from week to week, so we got to see what their plan is and what they do to us. And that's part of the thing that makes it tough, because it's hard to prepare for. You don't know what you're going to get. So you know, we've got to be able to run the football. You know, they're going to line up in there with 3 linemen and try to play coverage. We've got to be able to run the football against that front. That was what made it so tough against Stephen F. last week. Stephen F's in a 4-man front, and they sat in there with 2 linebackers, and you know, we had a difficult time running the ball. So we'll have to see what they give us.
When you talk about Preston and his ability to run and move the ball, but then also obviously control the ball, and they had to do that playing from behind. What aspect did he bring into the passing game?
You know, in the passing game, they'll give you a lot of play action stuff off the option, and you know, they run some routes that are difficult. You know, Coach Stubbs does a good job recognizing if you're in man or zone by formation. You know what your formation tendencies are, and then you know he's got ways to attack it. You know, we've got to mix our coverages so he can't get in a groove with what we're doing. But a lot of the passes you see them complete are cast and scrambling around. And he goes to scramble and throws it on the scramble. So again, we've got to keep him contained.
I know your first instinct is to think about the seniors, and I know you want to win for them. How important is it to you and to the program to get this game and just, provide a little evidence that we're moving in a good direction?
Well, it's, everybody needs a win. I need a win, Wendy needs a win. Mr. Anzalone who mows the grass needs a win. It's
Dr. Crane needs a win.
Dr. Crane needs a win. Going into the off-season program, if you end with an L, you have a sour stomach for 9 months. We need a win. We need a win at home, for the seniors, for the River Bell, for our fans, everything, And we'll play hard. Sometimes when you I don't know if I've seen a group of kids that are, whatever our record is, 2-7, 2-8 right now, 2-8, practice so well and play so hard. Usually teams that are 2-7 wouldn't have gone on a 6-hour bus ride to Nacogdoches and played their guts out. They would have, when it was 14-0 the first quarter, they'd have thrown the towel in and say, hey, go ahead. And it's happened here. And our guys haven't done that. I mean, we've had 2 spirited practices the last 2 nights. So, we'll play hard. If we take care of the football, I think we'll be okay.